Good morning. Hey, it's me, Kimberly, and you're at 6:33. Wake up. It's a beautiful sunny day in my neighborhood, and yep, I've got my summer haircut and I am ready to go. And just double checking this microphone's still working. Yep, we're good. So, you know what? You and me, if you are listening and I'm talking, then it's a good day. It's a good day to be alive. It is a good day, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it, right? So today, we're just going to pick up where we left off. So for I pray for you and for me that we have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to receive and react for that which He has for us today. Because, I'm not sure what that is. We're just picking up in the book of Mark, verse 21. Here we go. So, yeah, I just finished talking. So, Jesus had come into the story after John the Baptizer. Jesus himself was baptized, and they heard this voice say, "You are my son, chosen and marked by my love." Then Jesus was pushed out into the wilderness for testing for 40 days and 40 nights. Then he came back into Galilee, and he's calling his disciples, and they're just changed their lives and they just follow him. No questions. And I talked last episode about how I struggle with asking questions. So here we are in the story, and then it says that then they entered Capernaum. When the Sabbath arrived, Jesus lost no time in getting to the meeting place. He spent the day there teaching. They were surprised at his teaching, so forthright, so confident, not quibbling and quoting like the religion scholars. Suddenly, while still in the meeting place, he was interrupted by a man who was deeply disturbed and yelling out, "What business do you have here with us, Jesus? Nazarene, I know what you're up to. You're the Holy One of God, and you've come out to destroy us." Jesus shut him up. "Quiet! Get out of him." The afflicting spirit threw the man into spasms, protesting loudly, and got out. Everyone there was incredulous, buzzing with curiosity. What's going on here? A new teaching that does what it says? He shuts up defiling demonic spirits and sends them packing? News of this traveled fast and was soon all over Galilee. Directly on leaving the meeting place, they came to Simon and Andrew's house, accompanied by James and John. Simon's mother in law was very sick in bed, burning up with a fever. They told Jesus. He went to her, took her hand, raised her up, and no sooner had the fever left than she was up fixing dinner for them. That evening, after the sun was down, they brought the sick and evil afflicted people to him. The whole city lined up at the door. He cured their sick bodies and tormented spirits because the demons knew his true identity. He didn't let them say a word. Now, I got some things here in this story that I want to pick up. You know, First of all, just, me asking my questions. It's like, Lord, did you heal this woman so she'd get up and fix you dinner? And I say that with a smile on my face because I don't believe for a second that that was the purpose, but it actually fits into the story, doesn't it? He's there for dinner, and the woman who cooks is sick in bed. So, if you had the ability, wouldn't you go heal her and let her get you dinner? They didn't have takeout in those days. So that's just my humor for the day. But really, what is our wake up here? What is the point? Sounds to me a couple of things, right? One is that they were in the, what does it call it in this particular version? In the meeting place. They were in the meeting place, and there's someone there who was deeply disturbed with a demon. That's interesting, is it not? Because we have this thinking or this feeling like the some of the horror movies that we watch that demons are, like the exorcist, and the evil spirits are like the exorcist. And I think they're more like germs, cold viruses. It's like you got to get rid of them. And I'm not saying that they're little, but compared to God, they are. And so that's one of the things that interests me that I want to point out is that we can be afflicted as believers. Can we be possessed? I have said it a zillion times, I think, that this is not a doctrinal dig-in or a theological Bible study. This is me reading the word like I read the word and say, God, like, what's up here? What's up? So I know from my personal experience that I'm pretty sure that I was a believer. It was after my huge change of turnaround of life, my supernatural activation that I call it, was a couple of years after that, maybe 1 year. I personally received an experience where I was delivered. I had no idea it was there. I wasn't expecting it to happen. I was walking towards somebody who had spoke and going to thank them for such a wonderful message. And as I drew close to the speaker, something on the inside of me, you know, interrupted. Something was deeply disturbed. And I fell to the floor before I spoke. And the speaker said, gather around with me. We need to do deliverance. And, something happened. They prayed and I laid down. And something happened. It felt like something left me. And when I got home, this is the part that I remember the most. Not the not the experience of what happened in that meeting or on that floor, but what I remember the most is I always felt with my one of my children that there was a wall somehow around my heart trying to protect myself from hurt. And that's another long topic and a long journey. But when I came home after this experience and I saw that child, I felt like that innocent newborn was placed in my arms and there were no walls. We were free to bond as mother and child. And it changed my life and probably that child's too. Now, that child wasn't a newborn at the time, but that's what it felt like, people. So, my head didn't spin around and I didn't vomit, but that is a true story that happened to me. Now, the other thing I find interesting is I've had two experiences. Yeah, I've heard a lot of messages, but I've had two experiences that I recall that I can say that the teaching surprised me. We read here in verse 22, they were surprised at his teaching. It was so forthright, so confident, not quibbling or quoting like religion scholars, but that they recognized the authority and they witnessed the authority in action. Now, the story that I just told you of my own, that I said, Lord, that speaker knew their authority, spoke with their authority, spoke so forthright, so confident. And it somehow drew my attention, which is why I went to the front that night to thank them for such an amazing message. Now, probably close to 10 years later, and I'd heard a lot of messages in between then. heard a lot of speakers. I've seen a lot of people who have been very, very anointed. And I don't know the difference, but I do know that I recognized a difference. I saw a difference. So then here I am years later, and I'm listening to another speaker in a very small group home setting. And I want to say the word beguiled, but I think that's a bad word, that we get captivated by an evil source. Does that not what that mean words? I'm going to look that up when I'm done this message. But I was flabbergasted. I was awestruck. I was, this person spoke with such authority, such confidence. It blew my mind. And I can remember I listened to this person night after night as much as I could for the 3 weeks that this person was in my area. And I, many times during that, said to the Lord, like, I don't know. I don't know what that person has, but Lord, I want it. I want to know you, and I want to know your authority like that. Bold, confident, forthright. And and so I'm also going to tell you that that person that I listened to for 3 weeks, didn't I again go through another deliverance? So then here I am, I've been a Christian for almost 10 years. And some of the stuff that I had been dealing with my whole life was more than just neuroplasticity. It was more than my own weaknesses and failures. There was some stuff that was deeper than I anticipated and needed to be dealt with in a spirit realm. Um, Not to be afraid of that. Now I don't go looking. Now there was a time that I did. If you heard that expression that you're looking for a demon under every bush to blame something on. There was a time in my walk that I did that. But then there was also a time in my walk where I didn't believe that it was possible at all that Christians could have anything on them that needed to be cleaned up from the evil realm. And, it's kind of like one end of the ditch to the other end of the ditch. And now I'm kind of in the midway. I do know that there's an enemy. I do know that I need to be aware. And I do know that sometimes I got to deal with it. And do I think that I'm possessed? Absolutely not. Do I think that I live in a fallen world, just like the invisible germs around me and all that stuff? That there is a spirit realm around us. And I believe that sometimes we need to take authority. Sometimes we need the discernment to take authority, to be in relationship with our Father. That by the authority vested in me by Jesus Christ, I can tell those things to get away, get out of here in Jesus' name. Now, this episode might ruffle some feathers, and I pray that you're gracious and kind to me, not the enemy. So, you know what? Until next time, I bless you. And I pray that you know you are blessed and that you go out and be a blessing. Bye.